Frolo is the app that several thousand single parents say has been life-changing for them in the most profound way. If you're a single parent and want to connect with other single parents and open yourself up to an amazing support network and new experiences, then the Frolo app is the one for you. The Frolo app has two modes: community mode for meetups and holidays, guidance and support, chats, and discovery to make it easy to find like-minded local single parents near you. Dating mode is a mindful, safe, and respectful dating offering where everybody is there to date another single parent. All users on Frolo are verified, putting our user safety first always. The Frolo app is free to download and use, with the option to upgrade to premium for access to lots of additional premium features for an elevated experience, which makes it easier than ever to access the incredible connections and experiences you're looking for. To download Frolo, search for Frolo, Frolo, on the App or Google Play Store, or go to www.frolo.com for more info. We can't wait to see you on the app soon. Hi, I'm Zoe Desmond, the founder of Frolo, the award-winning app for single parents that features both community and dating modes. And I'm also co-author, along with my wonderful friend Rebecca Cox, that I made through Frolo, of the book How to Be a Happy Single Parent. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Frolo podcast. Today I am joined by Nik Shaw, otherwise known as Legally Nick. And Nikki is a child protection solicitor, providing advice on all aspects of child protection, separation, parenting, co-parenting, and default parenting. Nikki, welcome to the Frolo podcast.
Thank you so much, Zoe. Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you. And I'm really, really looking forward to delving into what it is that you do and how you came to do this work. So maybe we'll start there, because that's what I'm really interested to know. How did you end up on this journey?
Yeah, okay, cool. That would be quite helpful, because I do get a lot of messages from people actually wanting to get into the career, and how I went about that, how I got about that. So I always tell people that I am a perpetual people pleaser, and I wanted to please my parents. So they wanted, me to be, I literally asked my mum when I was 12, what do you want me to be?
Wow.
And it's because, God bless my brother, but he was the, I don't like to use the word for my own children or other children, but he was quote unquote quite naughty.
Mm-hmm.
And I would watch how he was being and the stress he was putting my parents under. So I was the quote unquote good one. So I just said to my mum one day, what do you want me to be? And she said, oh, I'd love it if you were a solicitor. So I just went, oh, okay then, all right then, I'll do that. And then, actually it's a little bit harder than just deciding that you're going to be that. But I went to uni, did law and politics, actually. I spent a year in New York, spent a time in Germany studying. Really enjoyed it all. Went to law school, and then I did say, whatever law I go into, I want to be feeling like I'm making some sort of difference. I don't want to just be out there making money for people.
Yeah.
I want to actually be in the thick of life, if you like. I don't think any of us have had the most idyllic childhoods. I didn't. So doing something within family, child protection was where my heart was actually at.
I was just going to ask, because I have a few friends who were in law and ended up getting out of law because, just there's a lot there's a lot to it, and it's a
Yeah,
big
it's a lot.
undertaking as well.
It is a
Um,
lot. Yeah.
so I guess I'm just wondering, even though you had that conversation with your mom at 12, and maybe it was the people pleaser in you that led you down that path, did you enjoy studying it? Did you feel,
I did.
okay.
Yeah, no, I did. I enjoyed studying it. I wanted to have there's a sense of pride as well in saying that you're a solicitor. I
Mm,
don't want to run away from that. There's pride that comes with saying that this is what I've achieved, and it took hard work to get there, and it did take hard work. My dad actually moved to America when I was 17. He got an amazing job opportunity over there. My mum decided to stay until I was in law school, and then she left to go and be with him. And it was at that juncture that it was like, well, what do I do now? Do I go over there and do the bar and restudy, start again, or do I stay here on my own, and follow through with a law career in the UK? And I did decide to obviously stay here and follow that through. But yeah, no, I always enjoyed it. And when I was at law school, I did voluntary work at the National Domestic Violence Centre, and that was which really solidified my desire to go into family and protective work. So I got a training contract. It was very, very tough. It was a bit of a slog, but I finally did qualify into private family, which is where you talk about the disputes in private family law. So, parents fighting with each other in relation to the children, divorces, finances. And that is when, after a couple of years, it started to weigh me down. And I can
mm,
understand why people get out of it, because you just want to shake people and say, remember what the most important thing is, which is the child. But they very often get lost in their own pain and hurt, and can't see through the trees of that. So I would often feel like my advice was falling on deaf ears, um, and that became quite numbing for me. So I decided to go straight into child protection, and that is where I felt like I was making much more of a difference in my little world. So I work for a local authority. Social workers are currently my clients. And I very much work in child protection at the moment. So that's where I've ended up here.
what's a day to day? What does a day to day look like for you in your work?
So I'll have legal planning meetings with social workers, and we'll assess whether cases meet certain thresholds in order to instigate court proceedings. Or we will discuss whether a case should go through something called a public law outline, which isn't issuing a court case, but just to try and see if we can work with the parents to see if they can better themselves before entering the court process, or trying to avoid entering the court process. So, you have a lot of parents that are dealing with various issues: drug abuse, violence, alcoholism, prostitution, a whole range of things, and mental health. So the local authority obviously have to be there for the child. There are adult services that are there for the parents, and I need to ascertain whether the parents can support themselves in order to be able to support the children in a timely fashion, in a time frame that is suitable for the child alone. So yes, lots of meetings, lots of advice, lots of court work, because obviously I've got loads of cases that are in court. Lots of timetabling, lots of back and forth with solicitors representing various parties, parents, the guardian, etc. So I'm very, very busy. And then I decided to add to my schedule with Legally Nick.
It sounds like it could be, very harrowing.
Yes.
Some of the situations and circumstances that you probably
Oh,
come across.
yeah. Yeah. Some of them are horrific. Yeah. Some of them are awful.
So how do you support yourself then throughout that?
I almost have to disassociate myself. It's often what I'm reading. I have to. It's almost like I have to think of it as a story rather than real life.
Mm.
There's only been a few times where cases have really hit me, and I've cried or I've had to like log off and just take myself away. Those cases do pop up now and again, but otherwise I have to just sort of, I don't know, it's like a switch. My brain can just switch off. I've got good friends who do family law and say that they couldn't get into child protection because of this very reason. And I'm not going to lie, when I had my first child, it did become harder. Your capacity for compassion changes slightly.
I was going to say that as a mother,
Yeah,
it must be even
yeah,
more
yeah.
triggering.
Yeah, it can be very triggering. That compassion element really I started to play with me. However, it is starting to come back as they're getting older, and I understand that life is very, very complex, and the local authority don't get involved for no reason. And I truly believe that if a local authority is involved with your child, you more often than not there is serious mental health issues going on, because drug abuse is a mental health condition. Addiction is a mental health issue. These people cannot help sometimes the very poor choices that they are making. So I try to have compassion in that way. I'm fortunate enough to have had the upbringing that I did, the education that I did. Not everybody is fortunate enough to have that. So I don't like to be too judgmental over what I'm trying to assist and help with, but I have to keep the child at the forefront of my mind in all of it. But yeah.
Thinking about some of our listeners and people in the Frolo community, and there's obviously tons of co-parents who will be navigating separation, divorce, child arrangements, all of that. And as you mentioned earlier in this chat, that sometimes it's very hard for parents to separate what's best for the child from their own
Yep.
sort of egos and hurt and all of that. And so, yeah, what would you say are some of the ongoing issues that you see coming up around that? And is there any way that you can sort of guide
Yeah.
parents listening to this who might be in that trap right now of how to kind of reset things?
Well, let me start off by saying that it's not easy. It's just because I'm a solicitor, or you go and speak to a family solicitor, and they tell you what's what, and remember to put the child at the forefront of your mind. It's not easy. I've been through personal pains of it, and it doesn't make it easy at all. However, I do say that I am legally trained. My brain is just wired in a way where I put the child before my own feelings, and so I just try to remind parents that you're being watched, and everything's going to be remembered. Like I said earlier, I grew up in sometimes in quite a toxic household, and I remember, now I'm an adult and I look back, I remember everything and I see everything for what it really was, because I was being fed one thing by one, and the other wasn't saying too much, but my eyes were really confused as to what was going on. And as I grew older and I started to experience life as well, I really was able to put the pieces of the puzzle together. Now, I have compassion for my parents. They did the best they could at that point in time. However, lots of the things they did cause harm, and have impacted my future relationships. So these are the sort of messages that I'm just trying to get to parents now. Think before you act. If you're in pain, you're allowed to be in pain. Grieve whatever you need to grieve. If you've been cheated on, if you've been left, if you've been bullied, and whatever it might be, grieve the journey, the parenthood journey that you thought you were going to have, the relationship that you're going to have. Give yourself time to do that, but pour your pain somewhere else. Pour it into your therapist, not to your child. Pour it into paper, not your child. Pour it onto your friends, not your child. And we cannot help what the other parent is doing. I can't control that person. You cannot control that. But you can be the nicest, most emotionally mature person in the world, but you can't control that other person. You can only control you. And I always say that you want to be able to share your story with your child, who will become an adult one day, and be proud of how you handled it. And you want to be able to share it with them and say, this is how you remember it, because this is how it was. This is the pain that I went through at the time. I shielded you from that because I didn't want to be a part of affecting the relationship that you had with your other parent. If that went awry somewhere, that's because of them, not because of me. So those are the sorts of messages that I'm just really trying to get through with Legally Nick. And like I said, I've been through my own dramas. Getting married wasn't the fairy tale ending. It's taken hard work. So, if I can do it, if others can do it, you can do it too. You just need to remove yourself, take some time, grieve it, go back in. Don't pour the pain onto the child.
Yeah, exactly. And I think so many people feel, for whatever reason, that there's so much injustice in their situation, whether the other parent did something that ended the relationship, or whether they're, whatever the case is. But it's so important to not feel like we need the child to bear the brunt of righting the wrongs that we feel were done. And what always is, what people always say is that in the end, when, as you have said yourself, when the child is an adult, it's kind of quite easy to look back and piece things together. We don't need to, put the child through, to try and use the child as the almost as the pawn. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. There's so much weaponizing of the child that people do, and they don't even realize that they're doing it, right? Because they think that they are doing it under the disguise of protecting the child, when really what they're doing is trying to use that child as a form of trying to control the situation. Now, I understand why they're trying to control the situation, because they've lost all control of their personal life. So it's very nuanced, it's very, very complex, and it takes a great deal of emotional insight into oneself to truly take accountability and responsibility of the choices that they're making. And I know that that's difficult, because when you're in pain, you're really defensive, right? So I'm just trying to with each video, open your mind to the possibility that you may be playing a part in this, and how to support yourself in supporting the child. Never easy, but I hope it helps. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. And thinking about that, so thinking about maybe somebody listening to this who feels that they are in a situation where they're dealing with a very toxic, a toxic ex or a toxic co-parent, and they're really struggling to figure out a way to navigate things forward well, protecting themselves, protecting the child or the children. What would your advice be for these people?
Well, there's so many different scenarios because, so for example, I say to non-resident parents, so the parents that tend to have contact with their children at weekends or less than obviously residents. For you, if you are having to deal with a very toxic co-parent that's very controlling, don't be afraid to use the court process if you need to. That is what it is there for. But I don't want you to just threaten it. I don't want you to use it as a form of causing fear to the other person. If your co-parent is not allowing you to see your child, or putting a lot of restrictions on it, that is what the court process is there for. So I'd say attempt mediation. If mediation isn't successful, put in your C100 application, get into court and get an order, and then everything's directed. And I'm not going to say that everything's then hunky-dory, but you then have something from the court solid that if it's not adhered to, you just have to go back to the court and request for it to be adhered to. However, if you then have let's flip it on the other side, if you've got a resident parent who is dealing with a very toxic non-resident parent who's demanding to see the child whenever they want, who's often late, etc. I mean, there's a whole host of issues that I know that they have to deal with. It's very, very difficult because you can't force a parent to be a good one. So for them, I just try to really encourage them to limit their communication with that person to only the child. If that person tries to dig in manipulative tactics in order to try and get them into conversations, I'm trying to teach them how to weed that out and just focus on only responding in relation to the child and ignoring the rest, or taking the screenshots and then ignoring the rest. If you need to think about getting anti-harassment orders or non-molestation orders, those things are open to you. Supports via, therapy, right? Like writing things down, meditating. I put a lot of effort into providing this sort of advice on my page, and just like getting snippets of advice to deal with what you need to deal with for those specific situations.
Yeah, I was looking at your page earlier, and it is amazing. It's all the things actually that jump out time and time and time and time again in on the app, on the Frolo app, and in the community, things like parallel parenting, all of that. So yeah, I would definitely encourage anyone listening to this to take a look at your Instagram page, Legally Nik, because there's probably quite a lot of your videos that might be helpful. And on that point, I was wondering, are there any particular types of content that you put on your page that are most popular? So I'm trying to wonder what people struggle with the most.
Do you know what? A lot of people just need validating. I'm obviously giving legal context to co-parenting, but and that's obviously so many people follow for that, but the content that actually gets the most views, likes, and interaction is where I'm validating the parent for what they're going through. Like, I understand what you're going through. I feel it. I get it. I see you.
Mm.
And I think that that's what people struggle with the most, that they just feel like they're crazy.
Yeah, I think that's such a good point. And from everyone I know who's been through it, I think that is, you've really touched on something there. It can feel so isolating. And am I mad? How is this happening to me? Like, what is going on? Yeah.
Yeah. And because your relationship is broken down, right? And you've already had to go through the trauma of that. And for whatever reason, it's broken down. And you have a child or two or three or more. And everything that comes with that, the pressures of being a mom or a dad, or, just trying to make it, get through. And then this person who once told you that they loved you or was always going to be there for you has just turned on you, and your whole concept of reality just shifts. And why are they bullying me now? Why are they so mean to me? Why are they so aggressive? Why are they so volatile? Why are they using our kid to cause me extra pain? Why don't they want to? Why don't they want to pay for this? Or why don't they want to see them more? Or why won't they let me see this child? I love them so much. So it's just like you said, it can be very isolating. And then I can see from the amount of messages I get, I don't know what to do anymore, help. And I just want to hug everybody. I just really want to just grab everybody and give them my time. So you're absolutely not alone in what you're feeling, because look, there's a community of like 35,000 people that are currently following me at the moment. That you've got over 100,000 following you guys. There's a large community of people that clearly want their voice to be heard, and just want to feel validated. And
Absolutely. And yeah, I
yeah,
mean, the not feeling isolated and alone was the exact reason why I set up Frolo and why I launched the app, because I didn't know any other single parents. And I felt like I was on an island in all of the things that I was navigating. And it makes such a difference, being able to be, yeah, connect with others in the same situation. And then when you're a bit further along, to be able to be the person to say it's going to be okay, and all of that. So yeah, it's so important, but it's so tough for the people who are right in the thick of it, and it's hard to see the wood for the trees. So yeah, I mean, the work that you're doing is obviously so important for the kids, and also being able to hopefully guide a lot of parents in resetting on doing that, being being the parents, the best parents we can be with the tools that we have in the situation.
amen, amen. And I have to say, like, the answer isn't always in the law. And I do find that, a lot of people message me asking me for like this magic wand answer. And it often isn't there. Oh, they're hounding me for this. What can I do? And so you can't always get an order to stop them, because people can be very manipulative and use the child in roundabout ways in order to cause further distress. And the court find it very difficult to decipher what is communication that's in respect of the child, and what is just trying to cause direct distress to the parent. So there isn't often a magic answer, but it lies, and this is so freaking cliche, but it often lies inside of you and the internal strength that you need to build, to take it on, and learning what to just side eye, like turn your head away at, throw the phone away at, and what to respond to. So I'm actually going to be starting to make a few more videos directly in relation to that, because I'm getting a lot of messages in relation to, he or she said this. What can I do? How can I respond to it? So I'm just going to be focusing on doing some videos where I'm directly telling you what to do.
Yeah.
But that comes within,
Yeah, I really, really think that is such powerful guidance, I have to say I've personally kind of lived that myself, and in my early days of navigating, co-parenting, and weekends or days of, feeling such anxiety about, what, my son was only one at the time, and, when he was with his dad, and not knowing where he was, or just, and it,
so hard,
when
so hard.
it's so hard. But what I learned the hard way was that for my own sanity and my own ability to be able to show up as the best mom I can be, but also, not lose my mind, was just having to, exactly as you said, just knowing when to respond, not to respond, and also really adopting a mantra that I, have to sometimes repeat over and over again. He is safe, he is loved, he is that, and all of that, so that I can just, try and sort of get on with the day, let go, not feel, and it's because it is unnatural as a parent. Sometimes you feel like you're chopping off a limb, when they're not with you, and you don't know, you can't control everything that you want to be able to be part of, or help them with, or whatever. It is a very strange thing to have to get used to. But yeah, I think it coming from within like that, and just finding ways to support yourself, that it doesn't all rely on what the other co-parent is doing, what the courts are saying, or
Right.
anything else, is crucial.
I always say that the worst thing that you can do to a narc or somebody with narc traits is ignore them.
Mm.
And in great power lies just watching that toxic person argue with a brick wall. You just get message after message after message after message, and it's like, you're not even responding. Like, who are you arguing with? And it's just like, you cannot reason with crazy. So don't don't enter the ring of it. And I think with that, like, you start to build up this, okay, I'm so past this now. And once you get there, there comes power. There comes power in your maturity, in your, this isn't going to get me anymore. Obviously, it's so difficult when they physically have the child in their care. Totally understand and get it. But like you said, it's about this new normal, moving forward, a new routine. And like I advise on my page about parallel parenting, you get that child back, and you savor those moments when the child is with you, and you focus on that and the positivity, and just raising the most beautiful, thriving, healthy child that you can within your home.
Exactly. And I think it's important as well to say, for anyone listening to this who's in the complete thick of it, and who's like, how is that possible? I think it's definitely, from my experience, it's a muscle that just needs to be strengthened.
Practiced,
And it does happen. And like you said, there's such power in it when you kind of realize, actually, I am able to, I am able to separate it a bit more, and it over the course of time, you can look back and see how much has changed in terms of what you're able to navigate without getting sucked into
You're not
a whirlwind.
you're not crying every single time you get that message. You're not having deep anxiety. Your stomach's not dropping to the floor anymore. You're not running to the bathroom. And it's just got the message, seen it. Oh God, okay, yeah, whatever. Throw it away.
Yeah, exactly. Nikki, this has been such a powerful conversation, and I think it will really resonate with so many.
I hope so. Thank you.
And really respect the work that you're doing. I think it's amazing, and I'm so happy that actually, even though your mom kind of planted the seed when you were 12, I think it's there's probably a lot of people that are very, very, grateful and appreciative to the work that you're doing and the content that you're putting out there to support people, making better decisions as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Zoe.
So where can I've mentioned kind of your page, but if you could let people know where to find you.
Yeah, I'm Legally Nik on Instagram and TikTok. So yeah, feel free to follow and support, and I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Amazing. Okay, well, so good to speak to you, and yes, keep up the great work, and we will be following you along the way.
Thank you, Zoe. Cheers.
And that's a wrap for this week. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. If you did, then I have one small favour to ask. Please can you take a minute to subscribe to the Frolo podcast and give us a rating and review. This really helps other single parents who might benefit from it find us. The Frolo app, which is fully user verified for user safety, is available on the Google Play Store and the App Store, and you can find out more info and download links at www.frolo.com or follow us on Instagram at FroloApp. And you can purchase your copy of our book, How to Be a Happy Single Parent, at all the major book retailers. Until next time, have a great week.